PPE is designed to provide protection, but how can you be sure it will perform as expected? What do you need to look for to identify PPE that will be suitable and adequate for the hazards being faced? How can you identify products that are not compliant with the relevant legislation and are potentially unsafe in use? What could happen if the PPE provided does not perform as expected and someone suffers ill health, injury or worse? How can the British Safety Industry Federation and members of the Registered Safety Supplier Scheme aid you in making informed decisions about the PPE you purchase? I'm Roy Wilders, I'm the manager of the Registered Safety Supplier Scheme at the BSIF, and in this video I'm going to answer all these questions and provide some insight into some of the claims of performance that can often be seen on online marketplaces, social media sites and video streaming. All PPE on sale in the UK needs to be compliant with the requirements of relevant legislation, such as the PPE regulation. This regulation places certain obligations on manufacturers, importers and distributors to help provide the purchaser with confidence that the product will be suitable for the use intended. However, there are many products on sale currently where the supplier has not met their obligations and in some cases may have attempted to make it appear as if they have. Manufacturers are required to have their products assessed prior to placing them on the market, and for most PPE this involves some testing against relevant standards and an approval process through a third-party certifying body. This enables any buyer or specifier of PPE to be able to have a good starting point for assessing the suitability of products to be used. Manufacturers are required to issue a declaration of conformity. This accompanies the product and provides all the relevant details of it, such as its name, product code and the manufacturer's name and address. It will also show that the product conforms with the requirements of the relevant legislation and which standards may have been used to demonstrate conformity. The number of the certificate issued by the certifying body will also be included on the declaration, along with the details of which body has certified the product. The declaration can either be provided as a hard copy with the product, or it could be via a digital means such as a website address being printed on the instructions for use, or a scannable QR code or similar being included with the product. Instructions for use are also required to be issued with the personal protective equipment, and this provides required information about how it should be stored, cared for, used and maintained, as well as certain performance levels that may be relevant to that type of PPE. It's also an obligation that all PPE must carry certain markings. These include the manufacturer's name and address and a way of tracing the product, such as the product code, a date of manufacture, or a batch or lot number. A conformity mark is also required to be displayed, such as the CE or UKCA mark, confirming it meets the requirements of the relevant legislation. Importers and distributors are obligated to check much of this information is valid and is provided. However, it's important that the purchaser or specifier double checks the information themselves. So if the product is provided without suitable markings or is missing the information for use or declaration of conformity, you should take it up with the supplier for clarification. Any reputable supplier will have ensured that this has been dealt with before offering it for sale and will be ready to assist with any questions you may have about conformity of the products. So what are the risks associated with non-compliant PPE? The fact that there are non-compliances within the documentation or marking of the product could also be an indicator that the product may be unsafe in use or it doesn't offer the claimed levels of protection. If the product has not been assessed and certified by a conformity body, then you have no assurance that the product has met the requirements of any standards that the supplier is claiming the product meets. Even if there are test results available, there's still no evidence that a suitable number of products have been tested by an approved laboratory and to the test methods detailed in the standard concerned. If PPE is selected that has not gone through the required conformity process, it can place both the individual and the business issuing that PPE at risk. Risks to the individual who has been issued the PPE may be obvious. They may not be suitably protected against the hazard faced, and they may overestimate their safety and take greater risks, believing the PPE is protecting them. In the event of an accident, ill health or worse, the effect is not just on those involved, however. it expands out to the wider workforce and the friends and families of those affected. There are also risks that are not obvious. There may be unseen damage to the user of the PPE, such as respiratory conditions that can take months, years, or even decades to develop. Issues may also appear relating to their performance. Poorly fitting PPE or performing PPE can lead to issues with limbs, back conditions, problems with foot health, and conditions related to their mental health or neurological conditions. There's also the impact upon the team as a whole. If the impression is that the employer is only specifying or providing low-cost, low-quality PPE, it can have a detrimental effect on how the workforce perceive they are valued or not by the employer. The risks to the company if non-compliant or unsafe PPE is issued can be quite far-reaching. You may face a greater level of workforce disruption or complaints about the equipment that's been issued. You may see a reduced level of performance due to both people feeling less valued and due to more time spent managing the fit or maintenance of poor quality or non-compliant PPE. In the event of ill health, accident at work, or worse, a fatality, then there will be investigations undertaken by the HSE, the Health and Safety Executive. The HSE have responsibility to investigate any such incidents and can impose sanctions on the businesses concerned, which can range from improvement notices through to legal action. In the event of legal action being taken against the employer responsible, it's not the organisation in the dock, it's those who hold the responsibility for the workers' safety and health, usually senior management and those involved with the assessment of health and safety in the workplace. In addition to this, there's negative impact on aspects such as costs of insurance, public perception of the business, and stocks and shares may also be affected by negative publicity. Why does using a BSIF registered safety supplier help to mitigate the potential issues of non-compliance? Well, the BSIF are recognised by the UK government as the trade association for PPE in the UK, and we operate on a not-for-profit basis, so we don't have any commercial activity linked to the supply of PPE, and our stated vision and mission are to help both those in the supply chain and those who are specifying and purchasing PPE and ensuring that suitable, adequate quality PPE, safety equipment and safety services are available. We know from the 30 plus years we've operated as a trade association that the issues created by non-compliant, potentially unsafe products on the market lead people to take risks that place life and limb in danger. We developed the Registered Safety Supplier Scheme to provide a quality mark that those specifying or purchasing PPE safety products and safety services can trust. However, we don't just issue the mark to our members without carrying out some due diligence. Upon joining the Federation, every supplier has to complete an assessment process before they can be issued with the RSSS Shield. This assessment process covers aspects related to their quality systems and their processes for dealing with traceability of product and corrective actions. We also look for suitable insurance cover to be in place related to product and public liability, and we insist on the training and qualification of all customer-facing staff through our own NEBOSH-endorsed Safe Supply course and qualification. And we also assess and conduct some indicative testing on products and witness the competency of services that are delivered. All registered safety suppliers go through this process annually. Through this process, we can ensure that registered safety suppliers are demonstrating that they are committing to only selling compliant products and services, competent to sell not only the product, but have an understanding of the aspects related to managing safety in the workplace, the legal framework for selling safety, and how compliance is achieved through regulation. We look for them to ensure that they are trading in an honest and ethically sound manner. They need to demonstrate that they are dependable and can be trusted to help you make good purchasing decisions. And the verification, the assessment process that they go through annually ensures that all aspects required by relevant legislation and beyond this, through the scheme's own requirements, are checked and verified every year. But we don't stop there. We also go out to market and obtain products from a wide variety of sources, through distributors of industrial consumables, retail outlets, the high street, online platforms, apps, and social media storefronts, for example. We then assess and have indicative testing conducted on these products to check the compliance and safety or performance claims made by the suppliers. Where there are non-compliances or failure to achieve the levels of performance claimed, we attempt to engage with the suppliers to have corrective action taken, as well as engaging with market surveillance authorities to ensure any relevant investigation and subsequent action has been informed by our market intelligence gathering. In 2024, we assessed 99 products from non-BSIF organisations. We conducted 159 tests on those products, and we found that 90% of them failed the assessment process. We continue this work as an ongoing process. It's become easier and easier for anyone to become an online seller, and we've seen many products finding their way to market that have not been through the certification process as they should have. And these are being sold by people who do not have a good understanding of the need for products to be compliant, safe in use, and of good quality. Claims of performance are often made and demonstrated through videos that have no link to how products actually need to be tested for real-world use, but simply look good on screen. For example, this is a toe cap from a safety boot provided for testing by a BSIF Registered Safety Supplier. It's gone through a compression test where a force is applied to the toe cap to crush it, and there's a requirement that after the test, a suitable gap is still evident. In the case of this size of boot, the requirement was 15 millimeters, and after the test, there was still 17 millimeters available, so it passed the test comfortably. By comparison, this advert was placed on Instagram claiming that the toe cap is anti-smash and the sole is puncture-proof. Here's the result of the same compression test on the toe cap taken from this boot. It should also have been able to pass the test with at least 15 millimeters of space evident after the test. However, as you can see post-test, less than 1 millimeter of space remains. In use, the person wearing this could have suffered severe, potentially life-changing injury. Likewise, this safety helmet available through a tool retailer and online failed to meet the performance requirements of the standard EN397. Here, the transmission of force from the outer shell of the helmet to the inner needs to be less than 5 kilonewtons. When tested, more than 25 kilonewtons of force was transmitted through the shell of the helmet to where the wearer's head would be. Now, when advised of the issue, the tool retailer acted swiftly to recall all products affected and to ensure that communication was made to all relevant consumers. The seller of the safety footwear ignored all approaches, and the matter is now in the hands of trading standards. We recently launched a campaign called PPE Saves to highlight again why compliant, suitable, adequate quality PPE not only protects people from injury, but can also help reinforce the value of the employee to their company, showing them that safety is treated with importance and not an area to go for the cheapest option. This in turn can aid staff retention and impact upon cost effectiveness. Poorly performing PPE may require businesses to revisit their specification and purchasing of PPE repeatedly, adding to the cost in both time and product. Identifying suitable and adequate PPE from the off with the help of a qualified registered safety supplier can reduce this activity and provide additional benefits not available from online sources or high street stores, such as management information on the usage of PPE, cost in use, and importantly, new developments that may aid your employees' safety. So we ask you to look at how you specify or purchase PPE, safety products and services, and follow our 3-point mantra. Check, select, protect. Check that the supplier is a BSIF registered safety supplier. Select suitable, adequate, quality PPE or services that are right for the circumstances and hazards you face. And protect your most valuable asset, your people. Remember, anyone can sell safety, but you shouldn't buy safety from just anyone. Always specify the RSSS shield.